SCP-4955. First, a reading of the article. Item, we originally have SCP-4955 crossed out and written null. Item class, first we have safe, and then Mendax, an unusual class, both of which crossed out. Finally, decommissioned. Item type, epistemological and anti-meme, both crossed out. And finally, null. Special containment procedures originally indicate SCP-4955 is to be kept in a standard safe object container in Site-19. Once again, this is crossed out and replaced with null. Description: from here on out, SCP-4955 is lined through, and in its place, the word knife written in capital letters. Knife is a knife of unknown make and model. Log 1. I'm one sentence in and I don't know what the hell to do with this knife. I've run the usual tests. Materials aren't anomalous, it's just a wood handle and a stainless steel blade. Sharpness isn't anomalous. No thermodynamic anomaly, absolutely nothing. I even used the Hume Donkit and Scranton gauge. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only anomalous bit I can even think of is that I've been told jack shit about this and nobody remembers anything being in P0055. Hell, I don't think I've met anyone who knows about this thing. So maybe its effect is being just really, really forgettable, huh? Anyway, I guess I'm gonna go report my findings now. What a waste of time. Log 2. So I went to my supervisor. I confirmed with her that, yes, I've been assigned to 4955, and yes, 4955 is in P0055. I told her it was just a normal knife with no anomalous properties, and she just stared at me. For a while. I asked her if she was alright, and she said she was waiting for me to give the report on it. The report I had just given. This went on 2 more times before I excused myself, saying I needed to revise it because I'd realized something new. She waved me off, asked me to shut the door behind me. Log 3. No D classes is a pain, but I managed to convince Researcher Smalls to step in for $5. We stepped in, I picked up the knife, raised my hand, and asked point blank if he could see it. See what? I stepped closer, and Smalls put on a small smirk. I raised the knife in my hand again, this time asking if he could see that my hand was raised. Are you paying me $5 to waste my time? Another step closer. I wound back and slapped him as hard as I could with the broadside. He staggered for a sec before standing straight up and looking at me just the same as he did before. I asked if he felt that. Harry, I can't feel anything if you don't do anything. Well, scratch that. I can feel bored. I paused for a moment, thinking a bit, and raised it to his cheek, slowly drawing it back to give a shallow cut and put the knife into my pocket. This managed to get a wince out of him, but even then, with blood leaking down to his jaw, he just looked at me with a hesitant smirk. I let him go after making plans to get dinner later. If there's still blood at the end of the day, I'll know for sure just how far it goes. For now, however, I'm going to check that my hunch is correct. Knife's anomalous properties manifest by rendering all subjects other than Junior Researcher Harris unable to verbally, and often entirely, acknowledge the existence of knife. Edit. This effect does not apply to any object designated SCP-4955, as the slot has been replaced by another object. Following this, all instances of SCP-4955 in this document have been replaced with knife. Log 4. When I met Smalls for dinner, he still had a thoroughly bloody cheek, even if it was dry. Folks kept asking about it, and Smalls kept saying it was nothing, and everybody seemed to buy it. But only after looking at me. So they seem to know things I do with the knife, at least. I'm probably going to hell for this, but while Smalls wasn't looking, I slipped a Class W Memetic into his drink to check if that had any effect. 10 minutes after he'd finished it, I presented the knife in the same basic question, and he was still clueless as ever. On Class W Nestics. I'm not going to pursue this further, if only for the fact that I can't ask if we've got stronger anti-memes, but I'm going to run it through the anti-meme machine just to double check. Log 5. I'm at the end of my damn rope here. I decided to give my own cheek a cut to see how folks reacted to it. On the way back, a few people asked, and every time I said I cut my cheek with 4955, and every time they walked away without another word. A few of them covered their mouth with their hands as they walked away, for reasons I can't quite place. If that wasn't enough, I ran it through the anti-meme machine, and it gave nothing. Zilch. It's not an anti-meme that Nestix can touch, or the QNTM machines can detect. But why? There's no chance that everyone can see it, right? There's no way this isn't an anti-meme. Smalls wouldn't take the shit I pulled without decking me, and there's no reason for him not to wash it off. So what the fuck? The mechanics of this anti-meme are currently unknown. Nestic treatment does not prove effective at counteracting the effects, nor do QNTM analyzers show any anti-memetic properties. This anti-memetic effect perpetuates to actions and results thereof by knife upon any subject other than junior researcher Harris learning of knife's relations to the action or results thereof. Log 6. My supervisor has continually pressed me for the documentation of 4955. I asked her, what 4955? And she really didn't like that. She didn't like that one bit. She said to stop fucking around and do my job. So I took the paper she gave me the job on, I took the knife, and I cut it to ribbons in front of her. I asked again. She stared at me for a moment. She brought her hand up to her mouth, and she started laughing. What 4955 indeed? We don't have a 4955. Say, you aren't working on anything, are you? I could use someone on 3309. I sliced into my finger and flicked the blood right at her face, and she didn't even blink. She just left it there, still giggling. She wasn't even looking at me. We don't have a 4955. We don't fucking have a 4955. Sure, alright, whatever. Fuck this job. Log 7. This joke should have been finished already, but it isn't. The joke isn't fucking over. Smalls still has blood on his face. My supervisor still has blood on hers. I walked into the middle of the cafeteria with a rat today. I slit its throat and let it fall to the floor. People snickered. Log 8. The rat is still there. There's a pool of blood and shit and gore in the middle of the cafeteria. People ended up stepping on it since it's happened, and it's rotting in plain view of everyone, and it fucking reeks, and it's still there. Log 9. I cleaned up the rat today because I couldn't stand it anymore, and the entire time I was doing it I could hear people behind me laughing really, really hard. I ran the tests again on the knife, and it's still showing up nothing. I can't fucking stand it. Every time I'm turned around, people are giggling and playing dumb when I press them on it. Log 10. When I was working today, I felt someone's hand in my pocket. I turned to look at them, and all I saw was their open hand and the knife clattering onto the floor. I kicked them in the shins and they ran off. I don't think they understand the rules here. Special containment procedures. Once again, SCP-4955 is to be kept in a standard safe object container in Site-19, has been lined through. It has been replaced with, keep it on you where people can't steal it. Log 11. Somebody apparently cut all of the plants that Smalls was growing in his room. He made a big scene about it in the rec room until I told him I did it with my knife, and he sat down real quick. I didn't actually do it, but this confirms my suspicion that the simple thought of the knife being involved invokes the effect. He has made no mention of the rats I have left him. Description Addendum. The anti-memetic effect perpetuates to perceived actions and results thereof by knife upon any subject other than junior researcher Harris learning of knife's relations to the actions or results thereof. Log 12. I don't care. Log 13. I don't care. I'm fucking done with this thing. Log 14. I know I said I don't care, but I do. I do care. They want a joke? Fine. Log 15. I'm so tired. I don't know if they're laughing anymore or if they care. Log 16. It's almost showtime. Time to give the people what they want. Log 17. It is over. I have killed Smalls. I tapped him on the shoulder in the cafeteria, and he turned around, and I stabbed him. I stood there as he lurched towards me, grabbing me by the shoulders before falling down on his side in a fetal position. I kicked it in further. I don't care if the son of a bitch wasn't the one who came up with this joke, but it'll give me some closure. I'm leaving the knife with him. I'm done. I'm going the fuck to sleep. End article. So this is a really interesting article, first of all because it's definitely what would be considered on the site to be a format screw. It's totally different from the accepted format of any item class, or excuse me, any anomalous object. Now, one of the interesting things that we see down here is this was written for ClichéCon 2019. So going into the comments, chosen cliché, compulsion effect that makes you do bad things or kills you. So this was a contest where writers were challenged to write articles including tropes and cliches and turn them into something positive. So the whole idea here is that the knife actually has a compulsion effect on everybody around it. And the compulsion is to lie about the existence of the object and treat it like an inside joke. So the whole time, this knife actually is manifesting anomalous properties, but not necessarily in the extent that junior researcher Harris is aware of. It's actually causing everybody around him who's aware of the knife to essentially gaslight him, and that was the idea behind this whole article. No matter how bad of an action he takes, everybody around him treats it as a joke and is compelled to treat it as a joke and ignore it and not do anything about it. Now there has been another knife SCP that involved people not being aware when the knife was used in a crime, but this one was a little bit different because it was specifically written as an object that would compel everybody around to pretend that this wasn't happening and actively work against the researcher using it. And it's also interesting because the item ends up actually uncontained. The junior researcher kills Smalls, leaves the knife stuck in him. Presumably the corpse remains, like the corpse of all of the other rats and everything else, and the knife remains, and nobody else is going to do anything about it, because that would be acknowledging what had been done. So very interesting article, just something I wanted to highlight. I hadn't seen any of this. I looked for this one on YouTube. I hadn't seen any explanation of it. Something kind of short. Some of these get real in depth, but this shows that there's a very interesting side to writing objects, that they don't all have to be outright big, scary, spoopy skeletons. And sometimes the psychological effects are much more interesting. So if you are an SCP fan and you come from some of the channels such as the video games and things like that, there's a bias in those heavily towards Series 1, by which I mean numbers 0 through 999. And there's a lot of underappreciated works in the newer series that are going up every day. Now this one actually has an incredibly high rating, 289. That's very high for something in Series 5, and absolutely deserved. So, great job on this. I do encourage all of you guys, if you have an interest in the SCP Foundation, go ahead and try catching up. Each series has its own feel, and you don't need to read all of them, because nobody has time to read 5,000, and they're created so quickly you don't have time to keep up. But go series by series and pick some of the top-rated ones and see how the feel changes from series to series, and see what authors have had to offer in the decade since series 1 and 2 were really being written. So that's all I have to say. Hard to call this one a deep dive, just because there isn't a whole lot there to go into. If you want to see more slightly obscure SCPs, let me know. Like I said, this is a new channel. I'm still experimenting with format and content, so let me know what you want to see more of. If you enjoy this, want to see more SCP content, go ahead and subscribe. As well, I will be doing other entertainment related content, mostly music and video games, but I do anticipate heavy amount of content focused on SCP. So like I said, if that is of interest to you, go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you like this shirt, go ahead and check out the SCP Cafe store. This is not my store. I don't get any money or anything. SCP Cafe is a podcast that I follow that goes over the articles that were released that week, usually about 5 or 6 of them. And the SCP Cafe store helps fund that project, as well as a couple other projects that have to do with the Foundation as a whole. So I highly recommend buying from them, and this is a great quality shirt, by the way. I love it. So, thanks again. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. Hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.